So if you watch my recent videos, I'm doing tons of content on Python, creating black hat tools and things like that. Maybe you want to get started, but you don't really know what to build. Like, what would you build if you just let yourself, turn yourself loose to start a new Python project? What would you even create? And, it might depend on what your skill level is. What can you create at your skill level? So you might be kind of confused on where to get started. And when you go online to search for code ideas, you might see tons of videos, but they're mostly about, for people that want to get developer jobs and things like that. And you want to find a security project. You want to do something security related, if possible, with your Python projects. And you just don't know where to turn. Well, this is the problem that this video will solve for you. So, stay tuned. Hey guys, this is Ryan from elevatecyber. I've definitely been there if you're struggling, trying to figure out a project idea of what to do next, what to tackle next, because, with code, literally the possibilities are endless as far as what you can create. It comes down to what do you want to build, first of all, and second of all, what's your skill level? And I'll have to just pass on this generic advice. You probably heard it before. Apologize if you have, but you want to pick something that ideally is slightly above your skill level so that it's a challenge, but not too difficult to where you won't be able to get through it and that you'll get discouraged. So ideally, if you can find something that's just a little bit of a stretch, right? Because, a lot of people that are inexperienced with code, they talk a lot about like, I don't understand this, I don't understand that, and that I need to, if I need to Google it, then I don't know it type of thing. But like I say all the time on this channel, especially recently, Google is fine as long as you're not just copy pasting code though, right? In the sense that don't just paste something in without knowing what it does. Break down the code, understand what it does, do that extra research. Don't just blindly copy paste code, right? So that's what I'll say about that. That's the caveat I'll say there. So now right into the projects, right? So I would say that one of the best projects that you could do when you're first starting out is just learn about APIs and how to consume APIs. And if you want to find a project that can lead you in the security direction with that, go ahead and create an account on Shodan. I believe Shodan.io. That is a site that has an API. If you're able to sign up for it, you can get a lifetime membership. Sometimes they do discounts. I remember when I got my subscription there, lifetime access to it was, I think it was during like Thanksgiving, like a Black Friday sale. I got it for a fraction of the price for life. So now I can access their API and search for devices. If you're not familiar with Shodan, basically think of it as the Google of devices, right? You can basically, it's a search engine that can find internet connected devices. So you can search for devices out there that are running Windows XP or webcams or, certain IoT devices, especially all kinds of options. So that'll be a fun and interesting security related way to get some data, right? So practice retrieving data from an API, maybe with JavaScript, maybe with Python. Know how to do it. And I'll say this as well. If you're going to do a project like this, know how to use, how to consume an API, both with something you would use on the front end as well as the back end. So what do I mean by that? Well, back end, typically if you're creating some server or some script, right, you're going to use back end language, maybe Python, maybe C#, whatever. So know how to consume an API with those, but also there'll be many cases where you're going to need to know how to do it from the front end. I would say for security people, at least prioritize learning the back end stuff. You could probably get away with not knowing the front end. But hey, we deal a lot with JavaScript-based applications and web apps, right? So they're making fetch requests all the time from JavaScript to get the data so they can display it on the front end. So if you can learn how to do it with JavaScript on the front end as well, then yeah, definitely more power to you. That's where I would start. That's a pretty beginner basic one. And you can even expand it if you want to do some stuff with the data, by all means. Maybe you can create a little command line bot that can use that data and query different things, or do something, create your own security tool if you want to get a little bit more advanced with it, make it into a full-blown project, right? Beyond that, I would say that if you're into the cryptocurrency stuff, I mean, there's tons of APIs out there like the CoinMarketCap API, CoinGecko, and things like that. Start tracking the rankings and market cap, price of different coins. You can go crazy. You can even create a price prediction bot if you want, like a little trading bot. And that's something, if you're interested in that space, not really a security one per se. Maybe you track some security tokens like a Monero or something like that if you want. But that one I just wanted to throw out there because we talk a lot about cryptocurrency on this channel. That's definitely a great way to practice both using APIs as well as implementing databases into your code, right? Because if you want to track like changes in the price and rankings and things like that, you need some data to check against. So that's where the database comes into play. And that's something that if you know how to use a database with your applications, then that basically unlocks a whole new ball game of what you can do with code. And if you want to find an additional project, I think a good one would just be like if you have some projects already, maybe clean them up, make them better. Most likely, if you've been at it for a while, your level of coding, your coding skill is better now than it was back in the day. Update those, and something that I need to do here really soon is make some updates to some old tools as well. But I would also say another really cool and easy project as well. This one is probably the coolest one, in my opinion, being a web app pen tester, and that is to create some kind of brute forcing tool. So maybe something like a web form brute force tool, because personally I hate Hydra. So I'm actually working on my own web form brute force tool so that I can brute force web logins, like post requests and things like that. And so far that's been very easy to create. Now, there's a lot of optimization that I'm going to need to use, like maybe even implementing some asynchronous stuff. And that's going to be a bit of a can of worms, but to actually get it to run, against your password list, very easy to do. You could also create like a hash cracker, or you could brute force, create a tool to brute force subdirectories, subdomains, anything. If you think about all the stuff we brute force as pen testers, there's a lot of stuff. So there's a lot of potential options out there, things you can create. And generally, brute forcing tools are not that difficult to make. So even if you're not too advanced with coding, this is definitely something that you can do. And then the next recommendation that I would give would be, honestly, we talked a lot about brute forcing and things like that. Even though tools exist for doing these things, go and create some of the things that you do very commonly. Even if another tool already exists out there, it's going to teach you so much more about how it works. And sometimes you're going to be, and especially you red teamers out there, you're going to be in situations where you're going to need to use a certain tool, but you can't get it on the box that you're on at the moment. So it's really good to know how to code this stuff. So for example, like if the exploitation scripts or the recon scripts where, you're running like nmap scans, and then if it finds this port open, run this. If it finds that port open, run that. Like auto recon or, the reconnoiter tool back in the day. Those are tools that you can create on your own. It's going to be a lot of code, and it's a big project to do something like that, but it doesn't have to be anything that big. You could also recreate any of the tools that you commonly use. In fact, the real world hackers out there, they're not using tools with known signatures for them, like they're not using GoBuster and a lot of these commercial tools. They're actually, not that GoBuster is a commercial tool, but you know what I mean? Like, they're not using the open source, widely known tools most of the time. They're usually creating their own. And along those lines, another project idea I think everyone should do once they get to this level of, understanding in whatever programming language they're working with, is to fork find your favorite project out there, that tool that you use a lot, and fork it, make some modifications for it, and upload it to your GitHub, like completely, customize it with whatever functionality, whatever features that you wish it had, or whatever you think you wish was different about it. Go ahead, fork the code, because this is open source code, right? That's the beauty of it. It's open source. It's on GitHub. Anyone can fork it and make it their own. So I would definitely recommend taking a tool that you like to use a lot. Maybe it's Dursearch, if we're talking Python here. Maybe it is Auto Recon. Maybe it's any number of tools. I'm kind of drawing a blank. There's just so many Python tools out there, especially, and tools in general. You can do this for any programming language, right? Just grab the tool, pull it down, fork it, and make your own modifications, and then you have yourself a tool that would probably be very fully functional, very full-featured, because you're not doing it from scratch. And this is how tools are developed all the time. And, even if certain things aren't forked, a lot of times, people will reference at least other code that's already been built. And, it's very rare that something is built completely from scratch, especially any of these like really large projects nowadays. So even if you don't fork a tool, just at least reference other people's code that have created like really nice, really full-featured applications, and that should really help you when you're developing yours as well. And then the bonus project that I wanted to just put out there is you could start learning some of this machine learning stuff, which is very interesting, right? And we're hearing so much about machine learning nowadays, especially, and I think that's going to have a lot of implications on how we do certain things in our security testing. Security is not going away. It's not going to replace what we do. But with that being said, if you can get ahead of the curve, because we're still in early with the machine learning stuff, if you can start learning some of that stuff, then it will unlock opportunities for you down the line. So maybe there's a problem that you're faced with in your day-to-day security job, and because you know that machine learning is at least capable of solving a particular problem, well, now you can begin to go and implement that solution. Whereas if you never even learned anything about it in the first place, that opportunity would be closed to you. You wouldn't even know that it would be a solution, right? So just start learning some of the basic algorithms like linear regression, k-nearest neighbors, maybe even some, SVM? Yeah. And I'm pretty new to it as well. I've just started learning, but yeah, just at least learn the basics, right? And that will, because if you think, for any of you guys that are more experienced with code, you probably know this. You have these moments where you see a problem, and you're like, oh, I could easily script that. I could easily write some code that could solve this problem, right? The problem for me and all of us here that don't have any knowledge of the machine learning stuff is there's all these opportunities that we could probably address with machine learning. And if there isn't now, then one day there probably will be. And if you don't know anything about machine learning, well, then you never even recognize that this is a solution that you could solve with it. So at least knowing the capabilities of it is going to unlock those opportunities for you. So hopefully this video was of help and really help getting your creative juices flowing, because it can be a little bit difficult to come up with something sometimes, especially in security, a security tool, right? So that was my aim in this video. And if you enjoyed it, be sure to subscribe to the channel for more content like this and hit the like button as well. And if you were interested in seeing some hands-on Python, check out my playlist on screen right now, Black Hat Python. I'll see you guys right over in those videos. Thanks for watching.